So my husband put his car up for sale for my dream. And when I think about it, even now, I still am in awe of him making that decision at that time and of the conversation that we had at that time. And I'm going to share with you, I'm story time. I'm going to talk. We're going to talk about the conversation because it did not go how I expected. And I'm glad, obviously, it didn't go how I expected, but it really was something, it was a catalyst to rethinking and relearning the language of support in a relationship. And what a lot of folks don't realize when we're in a relationship is that it is a language, like many things, right? Love is a language. There's a whole book about it. You know the one. So a lot of things require some kind of language in our relationship. And we don't realize what's happening to us in that gap when we don't know the language. And the language of support is important. So, story time. This is like circa 2017. No, it'll be 2018, 2019. And I'm in a space in my business. I have a baby business. I just started it in 2017. I'm like, yes, I'm hungry. I'm excited. I'm raring to go. And I'm like, I'm going to need to invest because I don't exactly know fully what it is that I'm doing. And what's crazy is I took 2015, 2016, I took certification courses. So I knew some degree what I was doing in terms of how to conduct business. And I knew how to coach and I trusted in myself around coaching. However, being online and having a business online was a completely different animal for me. And that was something that I knew I didn't have a full handle on, even though I was showing up. And so I'd invested. I invested in digital products. I invested in a membership that was really helping me, right? So it was a group coaching program. And then I was like, all right, I want to level up. My group coaching coach at the time, she was having an offer, a 4-figure offer to work with her one-on-one. And I was like, yes, I want to do that. But I had never invested 4 figures into my business. Later on, I go to invest five, child. I was shelling out them coins to continue to grow and elevate and to learn in the spaces that I needed to learn in. And I was like, oh, okay, it's a 4-figure investment. Like many coaches do, they let you know that this offer expires at this date and this is when da da da. And so I'm like, oh man, how am I gonna do this? Like I feel like I need this. I feel like this something's calling me to this next phase and this next step. But it's not just me. Like a we have a child, I have a husband. I can't just be like, let me take out a reckless loan or something. And I don't even know if we were in a space for that or if that was something that we financially, our philosophy around finances didn't really lend itself to that at the time. So I was like, I'm going to have this conversation with my husband that I want to do this. I've already invested in digital products and spent some money on this group membership program. Now I'm trying to spend more money, 4 figures, more money than have ever spent. And I was like, I still want to do this. So we sat. I was like, hey, I want to talk to you about something. And we sat on our couch in our 1-bedroom apartment, okay, with our child. She had the bedroom. Okay. We were on a pull out in the living room. And we were in a space in our lives where I wasn't like at a full like financial plateau. Well, that's a bad way to put it because we don't want to plateau anything. I don't want to put that out in the universe. But I wasn't in a place where I was making goo gobs of money in my business or even sustainable money in my business. Let's just back it up and make it plain. And he was. But a lot of that went into sustaining our life and, taking care of our child and, putting a little aside. We didn't have just like, whoop, here's a few $1,000s, for this. And so I came to him with a plan. I was like, I'm not coming to him just talking about it. I was like, this is my plan. So I said, look, I know that I've invested in other things. I really want to take this to the next level. I feel like it's my time. I feel like I need this to accelerate from where I am right now because I've gotten to the point where the group coaching program has helped me, but I am ready for more. And it's not just because they sold me. I trust this person. I've worked with this person, and I know that they can get me where it is that I want to be, because I want to be able to really call to my people in a different way and on a higher level. And I truly believe that. And I shared with him, with all the passion and belief that I had in my body and in my bones, I told him that that is how I felt. I said, and not to bury the lead, but I don't remember what the exact, but this is like, it's a few $1,000s, whatever the amount was. I told him the exact amount. I said, but hold up, I got a plan, right? Because I'm trying to be preemptive here. You know, when you're like, I think they're gonna come with me with the block, and you're like, no, 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 wait, I got a plan. I said, look, I'm gonna sell my car, or I want to sell my car, because me selling my car was still something that was going to affect both of us, because we were going to go from a 2-car household to a 1-car household. And that's real. I had a car in my name. He had a car in his name. And what he said next surprised the heck out of me, because let me tell you what I was prepared for in my head. You know, when we start preparing stuff in our heads, like, I know what they're going to say, so I'm going to prepare myself in my head because I already did. Wait, I got a plan. I did that, had that moment. And also I was like in my head, like, okay, he's probably gonna be like, look, you already, how is this going to be different from the money that you spent here? All valid questions, right? Valid, logical inquiries into why am I spending more money to make money? And I had answers for them. I had thought them out. And I was like, I want to be able to answer for them. I don't think that these questions are, not relevant. But instead, he said, okay, you know what? This is your time. You got this. He said, there's about a week or so that we have here. You put your car for sale. I'm gonna put my car for sale too. Whichever car sells fastest, then we'll use that money to pay for your private coaching. I said, what now? And you just have this moment of silence, because it wasn't that he had supported me all along the way, but he was really gun-ho about us going from a 2-car family to a 1-car family, which we had done before we had children. And it was still a lot in terms of dropping people off here and where people had to go. And so he was willing to do that. He was willing to put his car up for sale. And he's a car guy, so he liked his car. You know what I mean? And I just had to pause in that moment. Like, not only like, yeah, go ahead, sell your car, because that would have been enough. Like, and I feel like we would have gotten there. Like I said, he supported me. I just might have had to answer his questions. I was prepared for it. But for him to sit there and be like, not only, and I'm like, yeah, I think it's a good idea. Sell your car. It's liquid money. We're not taking out anything. He was like, actually, my car, because he had a mechanic's car, child. And because of the price point, it probably would have sold faster, right? My car was a little newer, higher price point to sell it. And he was like, let's put them both up for sale and see which one sells first. The amount of gratitude and just awe, and just, it felt like someone had wrapped me in a blanket and hugged me. Like, he had just, what came out of his mouth felt like a tight bear hug around my body in that moment. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because he could have just said this, I support you, sell your car, but he also said this. And that's just support at another level. And I hadn't even articulated that's something that I wanted. I just articulated that, hey, I basically, can you get on board with this? Because we're going to go from a two car to a 1 car, how you feeling about that, But I'm going to sacrifice my car for this dream. And he was like, I will also put this up. I will up the ante. There was so much gratitude in that moment, and there still is to this day, around the decision that he made that day. And his car, I feel like his car ended up selling faster. I feel like it. Maybe mine did. I don't even remember. Okay. But the point was, that was the conversation. And there's so many of us who walk around. I've met them. I've had conversations that feel unsupported in their relationship. They don't feel like they have support. And I have conversations with folk and friends And they'll be like, yeah, and then he didn't do such and such, or she didn't, have my back with this. And I listen. And then my question still, even as a friend, like people be like, oh, you put your coach hat on. No, this is just how I think. As a friend, I'd be like, but did you tell him, girl? Did did you tell her that? And they were like, well, I mean, I didn't say it directly, but I told him, and I'd be like, nah. No. When it comes to the feeling of support, feeling that bear hug of support from your partner, it matters. It matters. Because we can do things unsupported. We've done it. Some people don't get it. You got to just do it. They don't support you. You got to do your thing. I get that. And yet, and still, when we do feel supported, that's our preference for the people that we love to support us. It feels warm and it feels so good and so validating. You feel held. You feel like you can rely on this person. You feel like someone has your back. The feeling of that is preferable to not having that feeling. And yet so many of us are walking around and not feeling supported in our relationship. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're not even sharing how we would like to be supported. There is a gap between what it is that you need and what it is that you want and how you want to feel supported and what you're assuming your partner should already do or already know. And in that gap is the erosion of your connection and your intimacy little by little. Because what it's really saying is, I can't rely on you to be there for me. I don't really feel like you have my back. I don't feel like you would have my back. Those are deeper seated things, right? That's why it feels so crappy. Because it's not just like, oh, they didn't come to the thing today and we can just brush it off. They didn't come see me, do my thing at the presentation. They didn't come and, help me hand out these flyers. They didn't support my idea to do this new business venture that I'm passionate about. It's not a flippant thing. We don't say that casually and throw it away. We say it with like, there's hurt and there's pain, because what that means underneath is like, I don't really know if you'll be there for me. I don't trust and rely in that. And that's something that we want to prepare. That's a gap that we all want to close. And it can absolutely be closed. But first, we have to understand what support means for ourselves. What does it even look like for us? What does that mean to me? When you have the conversation and you want to feel supported, when you go to your partner, do you even know in action what it looks like, what you want that to look like? And yet there's sometimes this quiet expectation on them to support, and they might feel like they're supporting you, but you don't feel that way. And then from the quiet expectation, it's the unspoken expectation of what you want or assume them to do to support you, there comes a loud disappointment. Because we don't talk about the expectation is quiet, it's unspoken. We didn't say the thing, really. We might not even be able to articulate what it looks like ourselves, which is part of the issue. But then we have the loud disappointment. Then it's like, I can't believe it didn't support me. You weren't there for me here. We have that. And that also erodes at the intimacy, right? And so the language of support is really around articulating for ourselves what it looks like in action to be and feel supported, and being able to share that with our partners so that they have a knowing. Because one thing that I keep in mind always, that reminds me to be clear, reminds me to communicate and to share and to be honest, is that not knowing is not the same as not caring. And once our partner doesn't support us, even though we had an unspoken assumption or expectation that they didn't know about, once we feel that we're not supported, it's like, oh, they must not care. But is it that they don't care, or is it that they don't know? Because not knowing is not the same as not caring. I keep this in mind because it makes me question myself. Like, did I Did I share this? Did I tell him? Could he even possibly step into that role of support? Am I giving him a chance to be able to do that by sharing with him what I need and then opening the form for him to share it as well? Because the one thing that we crave and we want is that connection and that intimacy in our marriage, and not just intimate moments, but an intimate marriage. Like, not just like intimacy on anniversaries and birthdays and vacations, but like every day I feel the connection in the smallest of ways, in the intention and the effort that we put in for each other, and the openness and the transparency that we have brought into our relationship. In all of those ways, we find connection, intimacy, and even in the disagreements, and even in the arguments, and even in the loud disappointment, because we can course correct and ask ourselves this question of whether or not we know what we need to feel supported, and we have shared this is what it is that we need. So, yeah, that moment, and remembering that moment, and leaning into just feeling that gratitude all over again, because I'm in a season now where I'm doing some things in my business and pivoting, and I'm doing some things just to have a new creative outlet, and he's still like rah rah supporting me, cheerleading me, and not just saying, yeah, yeah, girl, do your thing, I got you, but like being like, oh, okay, you really serious about this YouTube thing, let me go and now that we get that whole concept of SEO tags, you do the SEO tags from now on, so that more people can hear your message. But I will actually go back into your old videos and I will put the SEO tags in there for you, so that hopefully those videos can now be pushed differently because they'll come up more in search. He was like, yeah, I did 10 today. I'm going to do 10 every couple of days, every day till I get, through your videos. Here's the thing, I'll make requests something from him for support, and he might have questions and I will answer them, because he's just asking for clarity. He's not questioning me. I'm not under interrogation. But that man just go above and beyond, like, and I'm always like, man. But and not but and support looks different in every relationship. What it is that you need, what it is that your partner needs, like, knowing that is important. And then if you're the type of person that kind of goes beyond that, then cool. But at the baseline, to feel supported and to feel supportive, what's the thing? So yeah, if this hits you today, maybe you're ready to have that conversation with your partner. You're not quite sure how that's going to go. It's been dicey, and maybe you're not feeling supported. Maybe that's your thing. Or maybe it's something along the lines of the gap in the language around communication and conflict resolution. Everything you say seems like it's coming into an argument, or you're walking on eggshells. You just want, to be able to come together and not erode at the connection and intimacy. I got you. Meet me in the comments if that's something that you're ready for, and let me hold space for you in that place so that you can feel what it feels like to be on the other side of that, right? All right. So thank you. I appreciate you for, spending some time hanging out, listening to me. I hope that there was something that resonated with you in this space. If yes, let me know down in the comments below. I'm Imani. I am doing these videos to remind us to stay connected to yourself, to your partner, and to creating a life that feels good to you. You know what I'm saying? That feels good to you. So if that's your vibe, please subscribe. Let's continue on this journey together. Let's continue having the conversation together. And I'm going to see you in the next video.